Chelsea fans, this weekend of Premier League football is a huge one because Chelsea face Arsenal at Stamford Bridge Sunday, 4:30 p.m. kickoff, and Chelsea can get their revenge on that embarrassing 5-0 defeat last season at the Emirates, and also get revenge for that 2-2 draw we had at Stamford Bridge last season as well, due to some defensive errors and a Sanchez mistake. This is a huge game for so many reasons. Chelsea's form. We recently just beat Noah 8-0 at Stamford Bridge. And yes, a lot of these players are going to change. But it does wonders for the confidence for the first team going into this game. Arsenal, on the other hand, they have only won 5 of the last 10 Premier League games this season. They have injuries. Their form is not great. They lost midweek in the Champions League. This game is up for grabs. Chelsea do have a bit of a dilemma when it comes to selecting the first 11. Who plays on that left-hand side? Has Mudryk warranted a start? Is Jadon Sancho over his illness and the knock he got in training? Is he fit and raring to go? Has Cole Palmer recovered from his injury? Does Reece James play left back or right back? Who plays in them 2-6 positions? Is it Enzo? Is it Lavia? Is Caicedo partnering one or the other? Is it going to be a completely new double 6 pivot? Who knows? Enzo Marasca has been keeping us on his toes with his selections all season. So in this video, I'm going to be going over my predicted 11 of who I feel Enzo Marasca may select, and also give my thoughts and opinions and an update to Cole Palmer's injury. So if you are new around here, you're a Chelsea fan or enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're new. It helps the channel massively and we're building an amazing community. So let's get into this predicted 11. Starting off in goal, I am going with Robert Sanchez. I feel like Enzo Marasca is going to select Robert Sanchez regardless of Jorgensen's performances. Me personally, I would choose Jorgensen. I feel like he deserves that Premier League start after his very, very solid game against Noah. I know that it's Noah. Sanchez has been making some mistakes and he's been very inconsistent in his distribution. And I think Chelsea fans just want a bit of a freshen up to see someone else in goal, but I feel like Enzo Marasca will select Robert Sanchez. Moving on to left back, I've gone with Marc Cucurella purely because he is one of the best left backs in the league, and I don't want to see Reece James playing left back to accommodate Gusto at right back. I think Reece James has played well at left back. I'm not disputing that. I think he's fit in there quite well. But I'd much rather just play Reece James as a right back because that's where his natural position is. He can get up into them half spaces if he's instructed to. He can also tuck into that back three if we invert from the left-hand side. And who better to do that than Marc Cucurella? So for me, Marc Cucurella has to be left back. Moving on to the left centre-back, it's got to be Levi Colwill. He is one of our best defenders, I believe. And I feel like as the season's going on, he's becoming more cool, calm and collected, a lot more solid at the back. He's not rushing into challenges as much as I've always mentioned this season. We can see the improvement and he's got such a high ceiling. His line-breaking passes are fantastic. And if he gets an opportunity to do that against Arsenal, I think that Arsenal could be in trouble. Moving on to the right centre-back to partner Levi Colwill, I've gone with Wesley Fofana. Now, I like Wesley Fofana and Colwill as a pairing. Like I said before, the only sort of reoccurring problem for me is the fact that they overcommit and then they leave like the other in trouble. But like I said, over the weeks, they're starting to slow down a little bit, think about more about their challenges and what they're doing. I do think there's a mistake in there between them per game, at least. You know, silly challenges or, you know, like I said, overcommitting sometimes. That is getting better. But I feel like against Arsenal, I feel like Mikel Arteta is going to get their Arsenal team to play a low block and try and hit us on the counter. And I feel like Levi Colwill and Fofana have got the pace and the smarts for the spatial awareness, defensive positioning to be able to deal with that. I don't think Arsenal have a fit out-and-out striker. I know Ødegaard is coming back, so that may mean that Kai Havertz goes up front for them. I know that in recent games, Kai Havertz has been kind of dropping deeper, playing in that 10 role, and they've not really had a goal-scoring outlet other than Saka, really. And if he doesn't perform, it looks like Arsenal collapse. So if Ødegaard's back, I feel like Havertz will be up front, and I think that Colwill and Fofana can deal with Kai Havertz. So that as a centre-back partnership, I think will work very, very well. Then moving to right-back, I have gone with Mr. One Game a Week, Reece James, because I feel like he is the best suited for right-back. Now, some will argue that Gusto deserves to start over Reece James. I get that, but if we're going to save Reece James for one game a week, he's going to be playing Premier League. We know how good he is. He's getting better and better the more he plays. I don't want to be seeing him at left-back. I'd much rather play him at right-back. And then if he needs to come off, Gusto can then come on and inject a fresh set of legs and more pace. He didn't have a particularly good game against United in terms of like his final product. And this is Gusto, I mentioned him. But but he did find himself in a lot of space in the half spaces on the right-hand side. So I think that gives us another dynamic. If we switch Reece off for Gusto, he can exploit those spaces against Arsenal. Moving on to the 6-6 pivot. Now, for me personally, I would go for Caicedo and Lavia, and I honestly feel like Enzo Marasca is going to do the exact same. I really like Enzo Fernandez. He had a great game against Noah. Only had limited minutes, but still got 3 assists in 20 minutes, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it. Had a really good game, good for his confidence boosting. But I still think that against Arsenal, a team like Arsenal, when they are going to try and hit us on the counter, you're going to need some defensive stability in the middle of the park. And I don't think you get any more defensive balance and distribution balance between the two players than Caicedo and Lavia. So that is who I'm choosing for my defensive sixes. I would like to see Enzo get some minutes and play, of course, but I genuinely feel like it might not be the right game to start him, maybe to integrate later on in the game. Moving on to the left wing, I have chosen Mykhailo Mudryk. I feel like he has done enough to deserve a start against Arsenal. The last time he played Arsenal at the Bridge, he scored that cross-shot wonder goal. Whether or not he meant it or not, we still don't know. He's going to say that he did. I don't know whether he did or not. But hey, it was a great finish, and we got one of them iconic celebrations from Mudryk. He had a fantastic game against Noah, scored an absolute screamer, and he's just looked sharp. He's looked sharp in recent games that he's played. He's not had a lot of Premier League minutes, and when he has had a cameo, more times than not, he's played well. So I feel like he deserves a start. The other issue is Jadon Sancho. Haven't really had any updates regarding him. He had an illness. He was then, due to his loan, couldn't play against United. He also picked up a knock during training this week. Not really heard too many updates whether he is fit and ready to go. So I would start Mykhailo Mudryk on that left wing. I feel like he deserves to start, and I feel like he'll play very, very well. Moving on to the number 10 position, and this is where a lot of question marks are being had over Cole Palmer's fitness. Now, the latest we heard from Enzo Marasca in his press conference is that he's getting better, but just because he can walk around and have dinner doesn't mean he's fit and ready to go. Now, he was saying that on Saturday, which is the day I'm recording this, they have one more session, and that is when they're going to make their decision. I personally feel that if Cole Palmer is not fit and 100% ready to go, then we don't start him. We put him on the bench, we bring him on the second half potentially. And you know who I feel fits that role perfectly? João Felix. He is also playing very well and had limited minutes. There are a lot of options you can do in this role. You could also put Christopher Nkunku in there, and then you could essentially get Nkunku to push forward and have 2 strikers playing. But I feel like João Felix would fit into that slot. He's not Cole Palmer, obviously, but I feel like he can play very, very well. The way he has been playing has been very well against, I know, the disparity in between clubs and opposition. But I feel like João Felix could really cause Arsenal some trouble just because he's a flair type player. You're going to have the likes of Mudryk to the left-hand side. I'll get on the right-hand side in just a second, and the striker as well. Like, I feel like within that front four that I'm going to select, and I feel like Enzo Marasca will select, it could be absolutely frightening. And I feel like, yeah, João Felix could cause some problems. Moving on to the right-hand side, I have chosen Pedro Neto. And this is purely on a form basis. I have a feeling that Enzo Marasca is going to select Noni Madueke regardless. At this point in time, it feels like Noni Madueke could have one leg and Enzo would still choose him. He really likes him. And I've defended him in the last few games because he put in a lot of defensive work, and you don't really see that from your high and wide wingers, and I really respect that and I appreciate that because it's the work that goes unnoticed. But going forward, he's really starting to dry up in terms of form, and this isn't a criticism of him, it's just an observation. Yes, he scored that goal against Forest, he's kind of living off that hat-trick against Wolves, and I feel at this point he needs to step his game up. I would have personally played him on Thursday night against Noah to get his confidence up, keep him sharp. And I would play Pedro Neto on the right-hand side because Pedro Neto is in great form. Now, what Enzo Marasca could do, if he doesn't feel like Mudryk has warranted a start, is play Pedro Neto on the left and Noni Madueke on the right. But I feel like that's doing Mudryk a disservice based on his current form. So on the right-hand side, I'd go Pedro Neto. Again, you could bring Noni on in the second half and still give him some minutes. But Pedro Neto has been frightening. Involved in the goal of the month for October. Every time he's played, he's looked fantastic. So, the Noah game didn't really give us a lot because he rested both Pedro Neto and Noni Madueke and played Tyreek George most of the game. So, we don't really know from that who he's going to pick, but I would personally choose Pedro Neto, and I feel like it makes sense to have Mudryk on the left, Pedro Neto on the right, because the pace between them is absolutely disgustingly fast. And that leaves the number 9 for Chelsea. Who will we choose? Now, for me, there is only one option in the Premier League currently, and that is Nicholas Jackson. The guy has scored, 6 Premier League goals so far. He got October goal of the season, October goal of the month, and then we know it's mainly due to the fact it was a team goal with Cole Palmer's pass, Neto's determination and putting it on a plate, and Jackson there to finish it off. It was just a perfectly worked goal. Now for me, I feel like Jackson has really transformed as a player. I keep saying this because the stats don't lie, and he passes the eye test. His distribution, his ball carrying, him on the half turn on a halfway line is unreal, where he carries the ball forward. His finishing's improved with lesser chances. He's become more clinical. And I feel like he's going to want to score against Arsenal, really prove a point. It's a massive, massive game at the Bridge. Super looking forward to it. But I feel like that front four of Felix in the middle, Mudryk to the left, Pedro Neto to the right, Jackson up front, I think that's frightening. The only other option that I would personally choose is potentially having Nkunku where Felix is. So then Nkunku could push up, and you could actually have Jackson and Nkunku as a double strike partnership, which I think would be very, very interesting to see. But like I said, I feel like João Felix kind of pips it at the moment. You could start Nkunku, but at the same time, Nkunku's doing so well, so is Jackson. It's so hard to split between them. That's not to say that Nkunku doesn't get any minutes maybe in the second half. Or again, if he starts Nkunku, then Jackson gets minutes in the second half. But for me, in terms of starting and what I think Enzo Marasca is going to do, it'll be Nicholas Jackson. So that is my predicted Chelsea 11 to face Arsenal this Sunday at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League, 4:30 p.m. kickoff. I'm super excited. I am so excited. I will be doing a live watch along, maybe on this channel, so make sure your subscriber notifications on, but 100% on my TikTok account. I do every watch along there. I'm trying to do an experiment where I can multi-stream across both platforms, so that should be happening tomorrow. We'll soon see. Thoughts on the game? I think that Chelsea nicked this 2-1. I feel like it will be very similar to the Chelsea-Arsenal game at the Bridge last season where we really went at them. I feel like Mikel Arteta, with the current Arsenal form, they're going to play a dirty low block, try and hit us on the counter. They're not been a great run of form. Again, I can't 100% confirm whether Odegaard is back, but I'm assuming he is, which means Havertz will play out front. I feel like we can nullify that attacking threat if we keep Odegaard quiet. But if he is playing, it's keeping Saka and Odegaard quiet, and it completely nullifies Arsenal. We can see that. And yeah, I feel like the 3 points are up for grabs. Now, I'm not saying that we are close to Arsenal in terms of quality in the league, and like, you know, from past league campaigns. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is when you come to Stamford Bridge and the team is on form and the team are up for it, we can beat anyone on their day. Even with a very struggling Chelsea side last season, we got a result against United, a result against City, and a draw against Arsenal when we should have really won. It kind of felt like a loss, but it's still a good result considering the team where we were last season. So this season, we've got to try and take as many points as we can. This is the last game of the hard run we've been on before the international break, and it would be unbelievable to get 3 points. I mean, right now in the league, when you look at it, we're neck and neck. We're exactly the same points. We're 4th, they're 5th at the start of the weekend. It would be amazing and a massive statement that will ripple through the Premier League if we can nick 3 points against Arsenal at Stamford Bridge, secure that top 4 even more. Depending on the other results, Arsenal may drop a little bit further down or stay where they are. But going into the international break, that is such a psychological power play coming into the Christmas run, and I'm just looking forward to it. I'm hoping that we turn up. I'm hoping that we're up for it, and I'm hoping we can get the 3 points, because based on the way we've been playing, I genuinely feel like it's possible. So let's hope the boys go out there and do it. But that's my score prediction and my thoughts on the game. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. I love having a conversation with you guys. If you do enjoy Chelsea content and you are a Chelsea fan, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and you can be part of this amazing community that we're growing. And if you get to this point in the video, there'll be a thumbnail that appears on the screen. If you are a Chelsea fan and enjoy Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.